Hello everyone, this is Zero coming back at you with an update on my Transformers Tabletop RPG project, and I think I might be in trouble. One of the issues that I've been running into is that these lovely figures that you see here by WizKids, they still haven't released the second half of Wave 2, which is Ironhide and the Minicons. So Wave 2 was Soundwave and RC over here. I know they have stands for all of them, but I don't want to glue them to the stand. I feel like they can still stand on their own, like Skywarp. Yeah. So all of these figures, you can't even buy it through WizKids anymore. Like a lot of the websites that I've seen that have pre-orders for Wave 2, like the entirety of Wave 2, Soundwave, RC, Ironhide, and the Minicons, they've already canceled all pre-orders for Ironhide and the Minicons because I guess something happened with the license for Transformers. Because on the WizKid website, they still has them as like available, but you can't buy them through WizKid. And then third-party sites that still have stocks of these, they're like raising the prices because these retailed for $4.99 each, and people are selling them for upwards to like 11, $12 because they're just not being produced anymore. So I don't know what's going on. I don't think it's a production issue because WizKids is still releasing like D&D and Pathfinder figures that are made with the same material, so it's not a production issue. I think it's Hasbro is blocking the entire process, so I don't know what's going on with that because they already confirmed RC, Soundwave, Ironhide, and the Minicons as part of Wave 2, and it's still yet to be seen. I tried looking to see if any Etsy 3D printers are doing like G1 figures, and there's no availability. The only thing you could do now is just buy like the little metal figs that people have been propping up on Transformers sites. I mean, I already started painting these, so I'm like, just come on, Hasbro, just let freaking WizKid do their thing. Like, you already granted them the license in 2020, and now all of a sudden you're putting a whole stop to the production. So there's that. And then there's a whole issue with Renegade Game Studios having the first edition of the core rulebook for the Transformers Tabletop RPG. I already made a couple videos about that. Basically, what happened was they originally slated it to release in March of 2022. Release date got pushed back because I guess something happened during production of the rulebook. And then it finally was getting shipped out in October 2022, but then something happened with the shipping supply that they had. So they deleted a whole bunch of pre-orders, mine included, and told us to friggin' like pre-order it again. And now they're opening up more pre-orders, and that pissed off a lot of people because like, why'd you cancel my pre-order when you could just fulfill it when you produce more books? So there was a whole mess with Renegade. So far, this entire quest for the Transformers Tabletop RPG has been, it's been a mess. Like most of Transformers anyways. It's been several months. I actually did finally get the deluxe core rulebook back in March, which was like a couple months ago. And I know it's super late for this video to come out, but I was already knee deep in my Halo series, so I couldn't make the video then. But here it is. I got the dice bag from Renegade Games, which is a little big because like here's my typical dice bag for D&D. So I don't know why they need to make it this big. And then of course I already showed you in my previous videos, I got the character journal, which is as big as the dice bag, which is weird. I'm like, how many dice do you expect to like sell? And then at long last, what I've been waiting for, deluxe core rulebook. Took a year from the initial announcement of March 2022, and then it finally got shipped to me in March of 2023, 1 year later. And I mean, I went ahead and did my Halo series because like it was supposed to be shipped out in January, still didn't get it. February, no word. So then you know what? I'm gonna start my next video series, and right start my next video series, I got the stinking book. All right, so it's all still shrink wrapped. It looks good. I'm just still upset that they deleted my pre-order without even asking me if I wanted a refund. And it's like, no, if you're still gonna make more books to fulfill those pre-orders that you had, like just make more books so you don't have to delete the pre-order. All right, so first, I guess we'll go from smallest to biggest. It's not so impressed. Like the quality of the bag is is nice, but like the print is like those iron-on patches, which I'm not too impressed with. I thought it'd be like screen printed, but I mean, it was $15, so whatever. I mean, I still got this. And I didn't get the dice because apparently a lot of people complained that the D4 in the dice set was like, it was off-centered, and then the dice set was, I think it was another $15 too. So they're paying $50 for a dice set and it's like low quality. So I got these off of Amazon. Not this one. This one I already had. Yeah, so these glow in the dark and they actually look like Energon cubes. So that's kind of cool. I got those. So I'm pretty much set. I just need more figures to paint. Still feel proud of I made a little. Maybe it looks like a transparent window. I worked very hard on these paints. Okay, I'm just very mad that they're not releasing anymore because of Hasbro most likely. All right, so here's the character journal. Record your adventures and keep your data organized with the Transformers role-playing game character journal. This record-keeping device is filled with character building concepts, expanded character sheet, plenty of space for session notes. I mean, I don't mind the cover being like very simple Autobot. I kind of wish they went with a more like immersive cover, like make it look like a Transformers data pad. But I mean, this is the same design they use for like their G.I. Joe, My Little Pony, the Power Rangers role-playing games. So I guess they just want to keep things simple so they can like be more efficient, even though this took like a friggin' year. I like that nice new book smell. I'm a bookworm like that. Get that. Okay. Nice little hardcover. Got GM. A lot of tabletop RPGs that aren't Dungeons and Dragons aren't allowed to use DM, which is Dungeon Master, because that's, I think it's trademarked to Dungeons and Dragons, so you call yourself a Game Master. So they got the dice, which I already have here. I would have liked to get the Transformers one. I mean, I also got like a set of red dice. I mean, it's not silver and it doesn't have the Autobot symbol, but it's still like some good quality dice. I know I don't really need this many dice, but like they look cool, all right? There's a lot of like tabletop RPG people who collect dice. All right, so it's got like, yep, got a decent amount of pages. Character sheet, you get to write out your background. I don't know, I feel like these character sheets, like even if this was bigger, it's like I don't feel like this is enough space to write down your like biography or something. And the description is like, that's like one sentence that you can fit in there. Come on. Languages, plural, but you only have like one line to write. Yeah, there's really not enough space. I mean, it's great for portability, but in terms of like keeping track of all your stuff, I feel like that's not enough space. And then they got like notepads, grid lines. I guess if you want to do like draw out your maps, perks, team. Okay, so they got like, so this is like a quick stat, and then they got more pages for you to fill out. So that's cool, but I just feel like, I mean, if you already got all these pages to fill out your characters' backgrounds and inventory and stuff, it's like, what is even the point of this page here? It's like, that's not even enough space for even like bullet points of what your character has. So it's good. Then you have got the bibliography, or what is it, references. And then there's like some like player handbook-ish kind of stuff. And of course you gotta have Optimus Prime. I guess you want to color that. Okay, so all in all, not bad. I mean, it's a good way to keep track of your character and their progress. All right, now let's get this bad boy. In the Transformers role-playing game, create your own Autobot character, wage your battle to destroy the evil forces of the Decepticons, whether defending Earth against Megatron's plans of attacks or searching for elusive stores of Energon or protecting innocent humans and Cybertronians alike. Your game's only limited by the stories you create. I don't know about that, because you're already limiting it to the friggin' Autobots. I mean, I know I'm an Autobot stan, but it's a tabletop RPG. Tabletop RPG, you're supposed to also be able to play from, like, the enemy side of you, too. I mean, it's not common, but I'm sure there's lots of campaigns out there where people are playing as, like, the orcs or werewolves or what have you. They're not always, like, humans and elves. So, I mean, that's a little limiting there. And they don't even have, like, the Decepticon version of this. I'm like, come on, you want to be inclusive, but you only have, like, the Autobot cover. You're not going to have the Decepticon cover. I think it'd be fair. Okay, so it's feels like it's leather bound. Oh, that's cool. Would have liked it was the same for this. So, like, this doesn't feel like it's leather bound, but it's still, like, good quality material. This one's, like, definite leather bound. I mean, it's deluxe. Okay, got some nice blueprints. I like that they used the matrix of leadership from War for Cybertron and Fall of Cybertron, which they're not even acknowledging. Wait, what? Oh my goodness. These blueprints. I think they're from War for Cybertron. Yeah, that's Bumblebee from the game. Well, no, there's... Wait, I think this might be from the Robots in Disguise 2015. It's got a blend of all the different designs. There's Megatron. Well, he looks more G1. I don't know. That's the thing with Transformers. Is like, how are you going to make a tabletop RPG, but you're not even consistent with, like, the stories and stuff? Okay, Renegade Game Studios, Essence 20. Because I think originally what happened was they wanted to base it on the Dungeons & Dragons D20 system, but I think that's probably why they ended up delaying the print of the book, was they wanted to make their own system, which is called Essence 20, because with Essence 20 they're able to make it cross over with Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, and My Little Pony. I mean, I guess with G.I. Joe it makes sense with Transformers. Don't know how Power Rangers and My Little Pony are gonna fit into there, but okay. But yeah, so Essence 20 is separate from Dungeons & Dragons D20. I think it uses some similar stuff, but I think for the most part it's, like, specifically designed for the Hasbro properties. Okay, so here we got some background information. Freedom is the right of all sentient beings. Okay, so, alright, so far the artwork, this is from one of the cartoons. We have Optimus, classic G1, but that's like a cartoon, not Dreamwave, I think not IDW, or one of the animations. That's definitely War for Cybertron Shockwave, or Fall of Cybertron, since War for Cybertron he was only a multiplayer character. Alright. The designs... Well, Optimus is... Yeah, here we go. So we got Bumblebee from the new cartoon, which I've only seen like 5 minutes in the first episode, and I was like, no, let's not do this. But I mean, the design is consistent. They put spikes on Grimlock. What the heck? That's such like a kid thing to do. Like, I want to put spikes on them to make them look cooler. Okay, so we got like this little short profiles of like the common characters. We got well, not so common. We got Elita 1, Hound, Grimlock, Greenlight. Got some new ones: Erector, Gauge, Glyph, Wheeljack, Wheelie, Windblade. She's from the new cartoon. Wreckguard. Oh, jeez, Wreckguard's crazy. Rebel, Road Rage. Yeah, some new ones there. Alright, here we go. Now we got IDW art. I mean, I get it. It's just easier to just slap images from like all Transformers print media. But with tabletop RPGs, like even those, like you have a couple artists working on those books, and at least they try to keep like the designs consistent, even if the style isn't consistent. But the thing with Transformers is a lot of these guys get redesigned a lot. So like having them have multiple different designs in the game is just gonna make it a little difficult to keep things consistent, which is the one thing that I figured that they're gonna have a problem making this game, because with tabletop RPGs you need consistency. You can't just play the game and just make up the rules as you go along. It's like, oh, this character has this and this ability. It's like, wait a second, we encountered this character before and they didn't have this and this ability. It's like, well, in this version or this book now says this character has this ability. So that's an issue that I figured is gonna be littered throughout this book. Cross here, this. All right, so we got characters, character creation. We got origin, role, influences. It's very detailed character concept, background bonds. I mean, it's if you don't have any idea how to build your character, it's nice information to have. Yep. Okay, let's see the job classes. Bureaucrat, Q player, experiment, former senator, gladiator, hunter. I don't really feel like Cybertronian politics really comes up that much. Maybe in the comics, not so much the cartoon. So I don't know if anyone would want that in their character background. Racer, yeah, that's been a thing. That's why it's Blur. He doesn't even have any blue. Blur's supposed to be blue, isn't he? What the heck? Got Perceptor and Hoist, Machinist. Wasn't Hoist a medic? Road Rage, Gladiator. Okay. Yeah, a lot of background security. Got Proud. You're using G1 designs. And then you got like friggin' Follow Cybertron going on here. Choosing your origin wasn't this the origin, or is this like compatibilities? So you have a character who was formerly a racer became a soldier. I feel like that doesn't really matter in terms of the gameplay, because I've played Dungeons and Dragons and it's like a lot of this background information is like it doesn't really come up when you're playing, because you're more focused on the personality of your character rather than like their backstory. Like maybe their backstory might come into play when the DM like sends you to like certain areas or locations that's related to your character. Like that's the only way it would come into play. But given that Transformers, they don't really build on previously established lore, I don't know how big of a difference that's gonna make here. Got chassis. So this is where you decide your alt mode. Got monolith, lookout, rainmaker. See, rainmaker is just a flying type. Yeah, I feel like because the rainmakers were like a group of specialized seekers, but I'm not sure how. Yep, there we go. Changing the style, like this Bumblebee's changing again. We already saw him in like the newer design, and now we're going back to Follow Cybertron design. And now we're with this, I think it's the green leaf or whatever new default design now they have. And now we're doing G1 design again. It's like this, the artwork just, and Optimus changed again, because, what was it? We got So here in the beginning of the book, we have Optimus, like his window chest is clearly split. And then here we have later in the book where it's like, it's a flat panel. There's like no rims. It's like it's one piece in the middle that doesn't really like, it's not connecting. So, yay, inconsistency. All right, then we got perks, which I think is like the abilities. Gunner, I think we're going into the job classes. Motor Master, perks. Broadside, isn't he a Titan? How are you going to play it? Or I guess you can counter him. Here we go, another design of Bumblebee. It's like he's shown up in like 4 different designs by now. What the hey? It just bugs me that they can't keep things like a consistent design for the characters. And Ironhide, like, didn't they just show Ironhide? Blaster. But yeah, you get my point. It's like this. It's got a lot of information. I feel like most of this should be in a player handbook. Because right now I'm still going through the pages where there's like character building. Where's the, okay, we got some calculations here with D20. Story points. Who is your companion? I guess that plays a part, even though Transformers never really focuses on the humans very much. Oh my gosh. Where is it? So we have, that's RC. And here's War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron RC. Like, I'd be fine if they do like a High Moon Studios edition, whereas like all the artwork is from the video games. Like, I'd be down for that. But here is like they're just drawing on from different comics and media. It's not even consistent. Like I already showed you like 3 different Bumblebees here. Okay, here's IDW. Those are IDW designs. Got hard points. Equipments. It's like a lot of requirements. Like, just list me like what can I equip to my character and like how much damage and how much accuracy. And here we go, weapons list. That's all I really need to know. All of them are nice. I got some images. I got a little design number 1,000,000 for Bumblebee. And Optimus. Vehicles. Alt mode are the vehicles that you can fly in. Okay, transport. Which is kind of weird because in D&D, like, you don't really have access to a lot of modes of transportation. You're just walking around a lot. Like, maybe you might be able to get like a horse or giant bird or whatever, but the fact that it's like, oh, now you can get like vehicles and you can, what can you do? Might, intimidation, brawn, initiative. Are these like you hook it up to the character, or are these for like Optimus and Ultra Magnus builds that can like drag these so you can like stick a character in there? I guess if you want to be strategic about it. Like how it's just one little, it's a, you didn't even put like the auto, like make it like a big fat ribbon and put like the Autobot symbol on it. That would have been cool. It's just like a simple little bookmark ribbon. Free actions, aiming, and we're back to G1 RC. Multi-attack weapons, multiple targets. I think D&D does have AoE abilities, but I don't know how, like, it has a lot of requirements to even use them. Oh, here we go. Locations. Alright, so we got Autobot headquarters, which doesn't really, because they're talking about the Ark. Yeah, Ark. Just call it the Ark. We're trying to establish lore here. Autobot Road, Dinobot Island, which is on Earth. I thought we're supposed to be on Cybertronian bases, but we have Dinobot Island, which is technically supposed to be on Earth. Okay, got Decepticon headquarters. So it's based on the cartoons. So I guess these are both, because you got the Ark and the Nemesis. Yeah, they got some descriptions for the Autobots, Decepticons. So why not have Decepticon options? Well, I mean, technically you could. Tokyo, Portland, Mexico. What? No Nevada? We're not going to acknowledge Transformers Prime? They're more honed in on the G1 cartoon, which I guess is okay. I think went through a lot of locations in the original cartoon. Non-combat adversaries, threats, which you could. I guess threats would be the bestiaries, which I feel like if you're going to do it for the Decepticons, like, there we go, Arachnid, that's from Transformers Prime. Acid Storm, that's from G1. Armorhide, that sounds new. I am not familiar with him. I'm only familiar with the original trilogy. I'm not familiar. Astrotrain, I know him. Barricade, he's from Bayformers. And then they put him in War for Cybertron the game, which I like his design in the game, but this one's very different from it. Blitzwing, which I'm still disappointed how they designed him in Bumblebee. Breakdown. Cyclonus. Okay, so we got a lot of G1 guys here. Demolisher. Get some. I wonder how they're going to treat the combiners. Knockout. Okay. Knockout's from Prime, but they gave him a more G1 design, which is interesting because what is it? Where's it? Yeah, Arachnid. I mean, it's more like IDW with a sleeker look. Or, I mean, Transformers Prime, she does have a sleeker look, but she was blue in there. She wasn't really that purple. So that's interesting. Mega Octane, I think that's from Headmasters. Megatron. Threat level 24. Like, for the most part, it's just based on G1, but they really inconsistent with the designs. Slipstream, she was in War for Cybertron the game. I don't know, they had her in the Netflix series. Starscream, of course. Soundwave. It's got the little cassettes. Yeah, I wonder how Minicon is going to work out. Okay. Here they are. Buzzsaw, Laserbeak, Ravage, Frenzy, Rumble. Wow, they're all 5 of them. Okay. Tantrum. Oh, that's got some Predacons in here. That's it? Not gonna have Skywarp? How are we gonna deal with his teleporting abilities? Got the Insecticons. General Decepticon threats. There's some more IDW art in here. Decepticon Commando. Yeah, they should really do like a Decepticon version of this. Like how would these stats be from like the Decepticon side when they're going up against the Autobots? Human threats and NPCs. Civilians, really? Gonna roll over some civilians here. Military pilot, human scientist, human soldier, armored tanks. While most vehicular threats on Earth come in the form of military vehicles from the world government, civilian vehicles can certainly get in the way of mission success. They're not wrong. Compact car. submarine. Running an adventure. Read the core rulebook. Know the rules of the game, even though like most of this has been like character building. So you're basically just like, you're the engine for calculating like, okay, here's an encounter. How is your character built to deal with this encounter? Which is like typical in tabletop RPGs. Descriptions. Okay, it's got some starter maps. The bridge is falling down. Yeah, there's some small maps. So it's really emphasizing on like how your character is going to deal in this situation. Oh yeah, this is a bigger map. The Sherman Dam. Wow. Haven't heard that from the G1 cartoon. Index, background bonds, climbing, combat actions. Like, yeah, like action stuff is like how you gonna come up with the encounters. Like that's more of a DM thing. Yeah, it's a lot for the DM to manage. Because usually in a tabletop RPG, the DM is like, you're just figuring out how the encounters are, and then your players are the ones in charge of keeping track of their characters and how their characters are going to deal with an encounter. And then the DM is all you're doing just calculating like, okay, roll initiative. Okay, then we calculate like, are you actually going to hit this enemy, or you're not going to hit this enemy, or how much damage you're dealing. That's basically like the main role of a DM. But here it's like you got situational modifiers. 154. I'm surprised I haven't knocked any one of these out yet. There are moments when the GM determines the difficulty of attack does not fall under existing rule or specific trait. These are collectively called situational modifiers. Entirely the jurisdiction of the GM decides they should be applied. Skill shift up, skill shift down. Okay, so that's basically like if something's successful or not. Toughness, evasion, willpower. Okay, so it's got like class sizes, so the threat is large, like how much damage you're going to do with it, roll attack skill test. So this is like typical DM stuff. Wow, an actual height chart. That's a rarity in Transformers, because Hasbro can't figure out what the official height of these characters are. Large, huge, huge, large, large, like, okay. There's that consistency, which is, there is none. And of course the Bumblebee here is based on the new cartoon. It's not even based on War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, because I think he's a bit bigger in the video games. Yeah, it'd be nice if we could have a whole page. Well, I mean, it'd be nice if we have figures so we can know like how big these characters are. Because here it says like Bumblebee is like half the size of Optimus, but then here in the figures, he's like 75% of Optimus's height. So, yeah. So overall, it's like physically the book is well made. My only criticisms, like the art is not the artwork, but like the character designs, they are not consistent, which I feel is an important aspect of a tabletop RPG. And then, of course, if you want flexibility in your game, release a Decepticon version, which I don't even know if that's even going to be happening. Because, I mean, Decepticon players want to play too. You can't just have like, Decepticons be the only enemies. And then, journal. I guess, feel like these are kind of, this page is kind of useless because you already have like these extensive notepad pages to like flesh these out. So I feel like this is not even good for a quick glance. And then the hard points, like I feel like it's not enough space to like quickly reference it. I feel like all these pages like cover it enough. So just make these like expand it out into these pages. But yeah, so we got the core rulebook, which is basically half player handbook. and I don't know. I mean, it gives you some, like, the DM some calculations to do, but for the most part, it's like really reliant on how players are building their characters. But yeah, it's a good start. It's not great, but it's a good start, and it is actually kind of good that Renegade decided to do their own gaming engine instead of depending on the Dungeons & Dragons D20, given what's happened with Hasbro. And then given what happened with Hasbro, I don't think we're ever going to see the rest of Wave 2, which just sucks, because I was looking forward to painting Ironhide in the mini-cons, but I guess that's not happening. So I guess these are the only figures we're ever going to get, because it's been 3 years since WizKids started releasing these, and now they're not even available on the WizKids website. Third-party sellers have already canceled their pre-orders for Wave 2. No announcement for Wave 3 or 4 or any other waves, because, I mean, if they're basing it on G1, it's roughly about like 200 characters, and most of them were just like recolors anyway, so it's not even gonna be 200, maybe like a lot less than that. And then I don't even know how they're gonna make combiners. I mean, they've got like D&D dragons, so they could do the combiners like that, just already combined in robot form. But then, like, what if you want to break it down to the individual combiner components too? Dice bag, way too big. This is like good for like 20 dice, which again, you're not even gonna use that many unless each player has their own set of dice, which then this is still too big if you want to provide a set of dice for everyone, or everyone else should have their own set of dice anyways. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm still gonna paint the playset that I have. I still haven't decided how I'm gonna paint that. I think I'm going to be leaning more towards Transformers Devastation kind of paint design, even though we only saw Cybertron for like one level. It's probably going to balance it between Transformers Devastation and the High Moon Studios games. So it's a lot of metallics, maybe some bright color, like a mix of metallics and bright colors, like kind of what I already did here. So I got some like silver for the white parts, and then like solid colors or solid metallic colors for the rest. So yeah, I don't know if there's going to be any more videos unless WizKids or Hasbro figure out a deal to continue the license, or if they're going to hand the license over to Renegade Game Studios, because Renegade Games, like, I saw that they released some Power Rangers figures, which look okay, but given how their dice turned out, I don't know. They haven't released any My Little Pony ones, and that one's also a license that WizKids has, and they don't sell those anymore either. So who knows where all this tabletop RPG is gonna go with everything that's happened to Hasbro. And then WizKids is like, I guess they're waiting on feedback from Hasbro, say, hey, here's some character designs. Can we get the okay to produce these so we can continue selling them, or is the license being pulled back? Nobody knows. I've been trying to get in contact with customer service. I'm guessing WizKids has no idea because I haven't gotten a response from them. And then Renegade Game Studios, I still haven't gotten a response about that other inquiry, and it's been like 6 months by now. So I think I'm not going to get a response about that. At this point, I'm just making my own little playset. The Tabletop RPG, I don't know if I'm going to use this for my, because I want to eventually make like a tabletop RPG series where I'm like role playing the different characters and I'm the DM. I don't know if I'm going to use Essence 20 because it seems a lot of unnecessary information. Like, I was already planning to do my own homebrew system anyways, where it's like more quick combat and more quick action. But I mean, I wouldn't mind using this as a reference. But yeah, it's going to be more based on the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron games. So it's going to be way more simplified, which I feel it's better for Transformers. Like, you don't really need a lot of information here to build your characters. Like, here's my character, here's an alt mode, give me like a list of what the alt mode can do, give me a list of what this character class can do, and like I would have a simplified list of character classes, because you're fighting, So you just need like what, soldier, warrior, medic, scientist, whatever. I feel like keep it simple. Don't make it so complicated, because at the end of the day, all people want to do is just fight these characters in their own little role-playing story. I don't think they're going to care too much about how their backstory is going to affect things. And they didn't even have all of the Cybertron locations, like the little polities, because there's like 8 or 9 different locations, like Iacon, Kaon, there's Voss. Yeah, I can't remember the rest of them. But there's a lot of locations. The book hasn't really quite fleshed them out. I know there's expansions. I don't know if I'm going to get them, because again, I'm already decided to homebrew my own Transformers Tabletop RPG engine. I guess this is the last update for now. Next one would just be like painting my terrain, and that's about it. I don't know. If they do release any more, I'll be sure to make a video about that. But at the time, it's been 3 years, and there's like 1.5 waves of figures. I don't think Hasbro is going to let WizKids continue this line, which is disappointing, because they just got started, and now it's like freaking like gone with the wind. So anyways, that'll be all for now. Until next time, this is ZeroRaptor signing off. Laters.